Hello, boys and girls. Navin out on No Limit Hold'em. We're gonna do. I feel like I say this just about every time I do a video, which is maybe a good thing. But we're gonna do something a little bit different today. Today we're going to do a quiz on No Limit Hold'em poker. It's gonna be, I would say, it'll have application to other forms of poker, but pretty much it's gonna be exclusively No Limit Hold'em. And I mean, like pot odds and stuff like that still will apply to other games, but we will cover some heads-up situations, six max, tournament situations, but it will be no limit hold'em. So why would you bother to take this quiz? Well, I think I would take it if I saw somebody that I felt had a respectable or decent understanding of the game, and they put out a quiz. I'd like to see if maybe I could have a little bit of fun and learn something at the same time. And even better reasons than that, I think, are taking a quiz and then having somebody else sort of score you on that quiz when they're not talking to you face to face, where they're very anonymous relative to you. It really can help you out a lot, because that person being me, is going to be able to probably do a better job of being unbiased than you might be able to do, and so will therefore make a better gauge of your skill and your understanding than you're likely to be yourself. Also, doing something like this could help you to hone in on weaknesses in your game in a way that you might not be able to do otherwise without a coach, because of the kind of old saying or truism that you can't know what you don't know, or you never know what you don't know, or you don't know what you don't know, however you want to phrase it. And I think another thing is, based on the way that the quiz seems to you, and then when you kind of get the answers, it might help you to decide if you're kind of on the fence whether or not you, number one, are advanced enough to be ready for coaching. Number two, whether you really need a coach. Number three, maybe whether you should be coaching me. So, the format's going to be set up in 4 sections. We're going to go through the sections, and then afterwards, I'm going to go back through the entire quiz and explain my answers and the scoring system. So, it's not going to be strictly like multiple choice. There's going to be a kind of unique, I think, way that I'm going to score this, but you're not going to know until you actually start getting scored. So you can just do this casually, of course, and just try to keep track of the stuff in your mind. But if you want to be serious about it, I would pause it now, and I hope you didn't pause it when I said pause it, and just unpause it. Anyway, pause it in a moment, and go get a pen and pad or pencil and paper, or use your phone, however you want to do it, and actually write your answers down. And some of the questions are going to allow for detail. Be detailed. You're going to get extra points for it. So section 1 is going to be basic poker concepts. If you don't do well on section 1, then you just need to read a couple of poker books. Like, in fact, one of the videos I've been thinking about putting together is a list of the top things that helped me as I was coming up and kind of learning the game. And there's definitely some really good beginners books, but yeah, if you don't do well with section 1, then you need to not be thinking about training sites that you pay for or coaching that you pay for. There's plenty of free information on the internet, and maybe I'll give you a couple of good book recommendations if you're struggling with section 1. Section 2 is intermediate stuff. It's things that you may or may not understand, and if you do understand, you're probably a winning player, and if you don't understand, then you know kind of, or you will know by the end of the quiz what you're missing, what you're not really getting your head around, and you can decide for yourself what that means to you, and what it means to your game plan, and how you want to move forward with this game of ours. Section 3 is application. You can definitely know plenty about poker theory, but still not be able to apply it correctly. And unfortunately, you don't always get paid to know stuff. It's the application, assuming you're not coaching or writing or anything like that. It's the application that you get paid for. So Section 3 is going to be kind of hand examples. And then Section 4 is advanced theory. We're going to talk in that section about game theory optimal, Nash equilibrium, exploitive adjustments, iterations. There could be stuff like stuff on the indifference principle, etc. All that stuff is kind of open territory for Section 4. So here we go. There's a little bit more to do here. If you make it through the entire quiz, and this is kind of the way I think you should break it down and look at it and think about it. If you did perfect with every section, then you probably don't need coaching. At least you don't need coaching from a guy like me. If you got every question correct, really, really correct, you didn't struggle with anything, and you're playing micro-stakes and watching my videos on like NL5 and NL1 and NL10, you might want to try moving up to NL25 as long as you've got the bankroll for it. If you did poorly on even Section 1, then I don't think you're ready for coaching or to join a training site. And if you did well on the first section, but you struggled with maybe Section 2, you did okay on Section 3, or you struggled with 3 and did okay with 2, or you struggled with both 2 and 3, just kind of never minding Section 4, then you're probably in a perfect spot in your poker learning process to acquire coaching. If you got everything right, even Section 4, then if you do want to get into coaching, you probably want to look up a really name coach and get coaching from a guy that doesn't just read the books but writes the books, and doesn't just understand and learn theory but adds to the overall accumulated knowledge of poker players. Like Phil Galfond, or at least somebody like, well, you get the point. Let's move on. So, definitely enough ado. Section 1, question 1. In a local casino, so you're playing a $1, $2 no limit hold'em cash game, and you call a button open raise from the big. So button opens, and you call from the big blind with the ace of spades, 10 of spades, and you go to the flop heads up against the button, but you're out of position. The flop is king of spades, queen of spades, 9 of hearts. If you somehow knew your opponent had exactly ace of clubs, king of diamonds, how many outs would you have to win the pot on the turn? And when I'm asking you how many outs you'd have to win the pot on the turn, I'm asking you both questions. How many outs would give you the lead on the turn? So how many outs would put you ahead and make your opponent the underdog? And how many outs would shut your opponent out completely and have your opponent drawing absolutely stone dead on the turn? Pause it. Write down your answer, think about it, whatever. I'm not going to say that every time. I'll give you a little brief pause to shut the video down and then write down your answer and think it out. This should take you a while. I think this should really take you a little bit of time to do if you're serious about it, and you're going to get you're going to get out of this whatever you put into it. Section 1, question 2. If there is $40 in a pot, and you're deciding whether to call a bet or to fold, what are your immediate pot odds to call a bet if the player bets an amount of $20 additional into a $40 pot? So, excuse me. So, let's just say, as an example, this could be a heads-up pot where small blind open to $20 and you called. So the pot is $40 total. You check on the flop, and your opponent bets $20. What are your immediate pot odds? Pause. Okay. Section 1 continued. Questions 3 and 4. Question 3. What is meant by the term implied odds? What does the term mean? Do you know like what it refers to, and can you explain it? I'd love, if I was coaching you, I would love to actually read or hear you define implied odds without looking it up or anything like that. Just take a little bit of time, write down an explanation for the term, and I'd love to grade it for you. That's not going to obviously be that easy to do over the internet, but we might do some version of that. So, and question 4, kind of follow-up sister question. What is meant by the term reverse implied odds? This might be a little bit more difficult. I think this is a little bit less understood. So what do you think is meant by the term reverse implied odds, or what do you mean by the term reverse implied odds? Pause. Section 1, question 5. You are playing online at NL5, so a $5 game, $5 buy-in, and it's a 6 max cash game. You're contemplating taking a set line. You have pocket 3s on the button, and an unknown villain raises to 20 cents, and then a 2-cent, 5-cent game. Raises to 20 cents from middle position. So everyone folds to him. He open raises to 20 cents. The action folds to you so it just went open raise and action to you. You've got pocket 3s. You're on the button. Of all of the relevant factors that you don't have about this hand right here, right now, what is the number one most important piece of information that you're missing that would allow you to determine the EV of this set line? What do you need to know that is not provided here in order to even start to answer the question, is this a profitable set line? Now, there's more than one piece of information missing, but I'm looking for the one that without it, you cannot even begin to give any kind of defensible answer. And section 2, question 1. Moving on to section 2. How would you determine the EV of the following scenario? There's a flop of King of Hearts, 8 of Hearts, 2 of Diamonds, and you have a hand, Ace of Hearts, 7 of Hearts. Your opponent just moves all in for $500 into a pot that contained $500 before he jammed. So there's a $500 pot. You have a 7 of Hearts. The flop is King of Hearts, 8 of Hearts, 2 of Diamonds, and villain jams $500 into a $500 pot. Assume your opponent has exactly Ace of Clubs, King of Clubs. What is a simple way to estimate the EV of calling this bet? So how would you figure out approximately the value? How would you go about determining whether this was plus EV or minus EV, and how close could you come to getting an approximate EV, or how would you do this in game? What's your process? So I would love it if you would write the process down, pause me, write the process down, write the answer down, and we'll grade it at the end. Section 2, question 2. What is meant by the term pot geometry? Okay, so this is a little bit more advanced concept. What do you think it means? Write it down and pause. Okay, question 3. If there's $100 in a pot, you have $300 left in your stack, so that's $300 behind. Regardless of how much of that $100 pot is yours, you've got $300 left. There's $100 in the middle. And your opponent has a total of $600 in his stack. What is the SPR? Question 4, section 2. Villain is a competent lag. He's loose and aggressive. He plays at an expert level. He's a very good player. You know he frequents several prominent poker forums. Let's even say he's a moderator on one. He creates video content for a major training site, and you're playing a $50 buy-in, full ring, sit and go online. Probably the guy's playing 12 tables, but you're playing one, and you're playing full ring, sit and go. The sit and go started with 9 players, and it pays 3 spots, pretty standard. It's just a standard payout. Play is currently 7-handed. You're on the button. You're the chip leader. You've got just over 150 big blinds. and villain is in second in chips with 100 big blinds even. And everyone else is basically effectively tied for 3rd through 7th place, having, 9 to 13 big blinds apiece. Okay. The action folds to the villain and hijack. This is the expert. And the hijack, villain, expert guy with 100 big blinds opens to 2.5 times the big blind. Should you have a 3-betting range in this situation? And if you do have a 3-betting range, what should your 3-bet range, quote, look like? So how should you go about deciding if you ought to 3-bet anything? And if you are going to 3-bet some stuff, how would you decide on the composition of your 3-bet range? Not necessarily an essay here. You could just answer, well, I would be polarized and bluff heavy, or linear, or polarized but balanced, or polarized value heavy. And then just give a pretty simple explanation for why you decided to construct your 3-bet range in the way that you did, or simply say, I don't think we ought to have a 3-bet range in this situation, and then maybe explain why you don't think you should have a 3-bet range. Question 5. Another sit and go with that same expert villain, the guy from question 4, right back there on the last page. This time we're much, much deeper. We've got a stack of 500 big blinds, and our villain, this evil bastard of a expert poker player that's been making your life hell for 2 slides now, covers you with 650 big blinds. The other players have between 3 and 50 big blinds each. I guess, assuming mostly they're in the 3 ballpark, because that's a lot of big blinds to have in a sit and go. But just, humor me. Just pretend. Some of the things are important here. It's important that you've got 500. It's important that he's got you covered. It's important that you're in a sit and go. The small blind had 7 big blinds to start the hand. Nobody else has a real big stack. There's one guy with a $50 stack. And again, play is 7-handed. And again, standard 3 places getting paid out. Action folds to the villain on the button. This guy, the nightmare. And he makes a raise to 2.5 big blinds. The small blind gets out of the way. The action is on you, and you're in the big blind. Explain again the composition of your 3-bet range, or the lack thereof. So, do you have a 3-bet range here? If so, is it linear? Is it polarized? Tell me some things about how it's composed, or explain to me why you don't think you should have one in the first place. Next question. Section 3, question 1. $10 heads up, sit and go, 75 big blinds deep in the first round. You're playing heads up. This is the very first hand. You're against an absolutely unknown villain, and he opens hand number 1 with a min raise from the button. Surprise, surprise. Your hand is the Queen 9 of diamonds. Queen of diamonds, 9 of diamonds. It's your option. You're facing a min raise. Should you call, fold, or 3-bet as standard? What do you feel like is the standard play here? And maybe explain why. Pause. Question 2. You decided to just flat call pre-flop with the Queen 9 of diamonds, and the flop comes Queen 7 deuce. Queen of clubs, 7 of diamonds, 2 of spades. Do you donk bet into the pre-flop raiser, or do you check to him? It is question 2. Question 3. You decided to check. Your opponent bets 3 big blinds into the pot. What's your play now? Are we check raising our top pair? Are we check calling with top pair? Or are we check folding our top pair? Next question. Section 3, question 4. You're playing on Bovada Zone. It's an anonymous fast fold site. Maybe you've seen it in my videos or played it yourself. You're playing 6 max, NL10. It's a cash game. It only plays cash. You are in the cutoff position with the King of Clubs and the Jack of Diamonds. The player to your immediate right open limps. You can't know anything about him. So what's your play? What are you doing here? Are you folding? You over limping? You ISO raising? And maybe if you are going to ISO raise, approximate sizing of that raise would be good. And next question, 5. Question 5. The question is why? Why did you do what you did with the king-jack offsuit against the limp? Explain your rationale for folding this hand, raising with this hand, or over-limping it. And that is all we're going to do today. I want you to go back on any of the questions that you're not sure about, that you don't feel that comfortable with, and really do this as homework. Then I want you to tell me how you feel you did. Put it in the comments, and I'd really like to see some activity. If you made it this far, please let me know in the comments that you made it this far, and then I will give you the last portion, because that's going to be the hardest part. It's going to take some time to go over it, and I have a pretty cool way that I want to go through the grading process, but it's going to be difficult. I don't want to do it unless I've got people that are actually taking the quiz. So if you made it through the quiz and you'd like section 4, tell me. I'll give you section 4. If you made it through the quiz, let me know, and I will go through the grading process. All I need, one person. One person makes it through the entire thing and lets me know. I'm going to give you the answers as I see them. And if one person made it through and wants section 4, I just need one person, and I will give you section 4, and we'll grade that as well. So hopefully you're not mad at me for the trick. I hope you made it this far. It should have taken you some time to get here. You know, I know it's not that long of a video, but if you're pausing it and thinking everything through, that's what I'm looking for. So hopefully that's what we did. And if you did, I absolutely will. I'll get on it tomorrow. You do this quiz today. You send me a comment that tells me that, you know, you did the quiz. I mean, just knowing that you got to this point, heard me say this, that's pretty well proof that you finished it. And I'm going to give you the next part literally one day after. I will stay up till 2 in the morning if I have to, but I will get it done. But I want to know that it's being completed. So yeah, sorry about the little trickery there, but hopefully you'll have time to this way really go through your answers and make sure you feel comfortable with it, and we can grade it. And until next time, Navanad, over and out.